recorded live.
Hello, this is VancouverWATI.com. Welcome to Gang Stalking and Targeted Individuals. This show is being recorded, and anything said will go into the public domain. The public is entitled and encouraged to republish any part of this recording or all of it without any information, without permission, notification, or attribution. The time out here on the West Coast is 10 minutes until 10 on Sunday, January 15, 2012, my time. To find more of these shows, did I say 2010? I meant 2012. My mistake. To find more of these audios, visit VancouverWATI.com or search TalkShoe.com for Vancouver or 87161. And please keep trying to find me. I've been told that my shows are mysteriously not appearing in people's searches. I'm appearing in I'm live every night on this show. 87-161 at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 p.m. on the West Coast time zone. Plus many other unscheduled times daily. So should this show not appear, please keep trying to find me on the Live Now button on the top right corner of the screen, and or the top left corner of the screen, TalkShoe screen, or search for Vancouver. This is episode number 1098. I'm going to do this show right now totally off the cuff. It's totally non-scripted. I am making this. It's 11 minutes until 10, so I'm going to try to keep it to a pretty short amount. There's this issue, you folks that are listening. I hope you listen to this because I'm going to try to keep it to less than 10 minutes. There's this issue, and it's called organized stalking, and it's rampant in America and across the world. I am of the belief that organized stalking takes place to people, and nobody's really arguing with me on the other shows, on these other TalkShoe shows. In fact, if anything, they get really far cuffed. They really go really off the deep end. And what I do, I don't let that happen. I only talk about, on my show, number 87161 here on TalkShoe.com, I only talk about what happens to me, VancouverWATI.com. So anybody who wants to make the assertion that what I'm saying is crazy talk, far-fetched, look, there's 10 other calls on TalkShoe that center around the filth at freedomfchs.com, the dirty, rotten filth at freedomfchs.com. And I came to the conclusion, after hanging around here on TalkShoe for like 3 months, on a Saturday night, the last Saturday in November 2010, I came to the conclusion that they were just filth, that they want to spew crazy talk, that they want to get people talking wacky, total way off the deep end about organized stalking. I came to that conclusion, and I voiced my opinion on Derek's show number 66339. I think it's the last one in November, and I was a guest in his room, and he didn't mute me, thankfully, and I lost my connection a time or two, and I spoke out to the best of my ability, and hang on, I want to do something real quick here. No, I'm still live now. I had a number of guests leave, but I'm still on the Live Now screen. So they haven't cut me off in mid-water. By the way, I'll tell you that story in a little bit. Anyway, I came to the conclusion that all these crazy, half-baked, off-the-wall stories that the filth at freedomfchs.com was telling, that they were all crazy talk. I came to that absolute conclusion. And so what I did, I went on the offensive, and I started to attack the filth at freedomfchs.com. And was rather vehement about it. Well, let me tell you something. What happened on the next Saturday call, the first Saturday in December 2010, and you can look at, I don't know the date off the top of my head, but you can look it up. Now, I'm not saying they're the ones that food poisoned me, but I went into a convenience store and I bought a product, an ice cream product that was on the top of the pile, and some other stuff in the store. And I went home and I consumed it. And the ice cream was last. It was my dessert. And I'm telling you, it was like the wrath of God hit me. I nearly lost my footing. I couldn't walk across the room. It was a total feeling of drunkenness. My voice was vibrating. Not like it is now. I'm doing it now because I'm a little bit nervous. But what happened is that was on the Saturday night. That night, I went on the call on 66339. You may be able to find it still out there. You could hear how bad I sounded. I don't know if I called in. I wanted to be interviewed by somebody, and they did interview me. And because I sounded terrible. I sounded totally terrible. Because I thought at that time that I had been messed with. And so this young woman interviewed me. She was like 26. She interviewed me. And she even started the show, and I really appreciate that she did that. But I had only been at TalkShoe, very outspoken, not willing to join forces with the dirty, rotten, stinking filth at freedomschs.com. I was not willing to negotiate away anything. I was not willing to speak anything different than what I've been saying, which I believed is complete truth. So what happened is she interviewed me, and she recorded it, and it stayed live for like a couple of 3 days, and the wrath of God came down on her. She got targeted like an amazing amount of... I felt that I got targeted, and I wanted to talk about it. It didn't occur to me that she would get targeted because of it. But a few days later, her call disappeared, the recording disappeared, and then she talked to me on the chat rooms here at talkshoe.com, and she said, "Van, take away my recording." So I had to take away 3 recordings, which were very credible recordings. And in fact, if anything, the first 3 months here that I spent at TalkShoe, from September to November of 2010, those were the most credible recordings of all. I can't get good recordings anymore. Now, why would that be? That would be because they're diverted. Why did she ask me to take her calls down? I talked to her once subsequently. She said, you have to, she as well as told me she had to do it. Her targeting went up. That's my belief. That's my belief that the targeting went up. And so then, but anyway, I took them down. I did, even though they were in the public domain, even though all of those recordings were done in the public domain, even though from day one I've stated again that any recording that I do is hereby in the public domain. What that means is that you own it. If you're listening to me right now, you own it. Anything I say, when I say it's public domain, you own. You can do what you want with it. I hope that you will use it wisely. I hope that you will use it the way it was intended to be used. But she wanted me to take them down, so I took them down. I took the recordings down. I have like 70 recordings now. Okay, so, but that didn't stop me. By the way, I indicated that the first Saturday of December in 2010, and it's on my timeline. I think it's VancouverWATI.timeline, or I'll think of the name of the website. I'm sorry. Anyway, but its timeline, it's one of my websites, one of my 3 or 4 websites that discuss this topic. So then, what happened is, it happened again after about like the 5th. It happened again on the 10th. That would have been the following Friday night. There was this restaurant that I used to go to all the time, like that grocery store, that small little convenience store that I used to go to all the time. Well, I went to this restaurant that I went to every Friday night before my call. I loved that place, and I went in there, and as I was coming home, I was feeling, not faint, but it was a feeling of sweating on my forehead, and I thought, God, I didn't have a hot sauce or anything like that. So I was walking down the street, and I was sweating, but I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. I got on the call. I started my call up like I always did every night, not every Friday night, but every night. Oh, by the way, I'm live. Talk to you show number 87161. I am live every night, every single night at 8 p.m. Pacific. That's 11 p.m. on the East Coast time zone every night, no exceptions. 87161 at TalkShoe.com. Anyway, I was on the show, and I got a phone call from somebody that I know, and they said, Van, you sound terrible. You need to get off that call right now. I'd been on the call other nights, but I guess I did sound bad, and so what I did is I stopped my call. I said, and that's the end of this recording. I don't have that recording because I didn't keep it. Okay, then again on about the 15th of the month or thereabouts of December 2010, I went to a large grocery store, and that I used to go to a lot, and I went to the deli, and I had a product, and there was this greasy-looking kind of a guy in an army jacket. I think it was the same guy that was in the convenience store the first time. I don't think, I want this on the record, absolutely do not think it had anything to do or that anybody was involved at Freedom SCHS. I do not, honestly, I swear to God, I want you to believe me when I say that, but somebody who likes them and who hates honesty and of dissent and real voices about real things that happen, somebody didn't want me speaking out about this issue of targeting. So anyway, I left that convenience store. It was a big store. It was a big store on like a regular visit. They knew when I was going down that street. They knew I was going to that store. They knew when I got there that I would be going to the deli. They knew when I went to the deli probably one of the 3 or 4 products that I had, and I walked out of that store, and I was sweating again. Now, 3 times that I consumed food when I was out and about, I was sweating. Again, I'm doing this off the cuff. I have described this a handful of times on my shows, but I've never recorded it. You're hearing it recorded totally off the cuff, but somewhat rehearsed because I've said it a number of times. Anyway, they wanted me to know the filth. Who loves FSCHS, who hates honesty. They wanted me to know, shut up, Van. Just shut the filth up, pal. So, for the rest of the month of December, I'm kind of like I'm creepy. You can go to my calls, by the way, and you can hear the real VancouverWATI.com voice. You can hear me on any of my calls on TalkShoe.com, and you can listen to any of those calls before the end of November, and you can hear the real Vancouver. But all of a sudden, now I've been hammered, and essentially the calls that were after mid-December, I sound terrible. I really sound like I've been run through oh, Vancouver, you must have had a stroke. You must have had this. Everybody had a different theory on what happened to me. They talked to me for 2 minutes. They didn't have an MD degree, but they knew it had to be something else. It couldn't be anybody that was filthy, that was a lover of the filth at freedomschs.com. It couldn't be that. That couldn't be. It had to be something else. So anyway, you can listen to any of the shows that are after that, and I did get slowly better. I think I'm probably up to 90%, maybe 85, 90% of what I used to be. I don't sound like a lot right now, though. I'm a little bit nervous right now. So now here in January of 2012, it's been a lot of months. I guess I cuss a lot. You haven't heard me cuss ever on a recording, ever. Because for some reason I knew I shouldn't cuss on recordings, but I didn't think to not cuss. Even though I've read the TalkShoe.com terms of service a number of times, I must have missed that. I'm sorry. But a number of days ago, perhaps up to a week, maybe at least 5 days ago, I got a call, I got a visit in my chat room from somebody who had TalkShoe this, TalkShoe advisory, TalkShoe, I have security and TalkShoe technical in here now, right? But everybody's muted in my room, and everybody's going to stay muted. But somebody showed up and said, Vancouver, you need to quit saying the F word. Just quit saying the F word. So I have, beginning with right then, and I don't know whether they're real or not, but I've had at one time, I had 7 visitors in my room. TalkShoe this, TalkShoe that, TalkShoe the other. You can pretend to be anybody. Anybody can pretend to be anybody on the internet, and especially here. And I don't blame them for that. There's some capability that the dirtbags are taking advantage of. So you don't know. And then they started threatening me and saying all kinds of things. So essentially, what I've done ever since is I've muted them, because you don't know who you're dealing with. By the way, I tried to talk to them. I sent them an email on a couple of occasions. On 2 occasions, I sent them an email. What's going on? They did not respond. I don't think they have to respond. They own the place. They can do what they want to do. But I got the message. They don't want to respond. They don't respond. They're busy. Okay. They got 1 million users, or a couple of 2.8 million by now. So you shouldn't expect them to respond, especially to little old me. But let me tell you a funny thing happened back then. In the month of December. Now remember that my food poisoning, which you can debate if you want, if it makes you feel better, happened in early December. I finally got over it by the end of December. At least I got back to I was at 70 maybe percent. Excuse me. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I was hammered, and no, I was not drinking. There's no alcohol involved. There's not now. I haven't had any in a week. I don't have it very much anyway. So the scumbags, I think, food poisoned me, and again, that's if that were the worst of it that you hear at these crazy talk shows on TalkShoe, all the shows, all of the TI, the targeted individual shows on TalkShoe, I believe are filthy. Can I say that word? I hope I can say that word. They're filthy. All of them. Every one of them. Starting from the presidents down to the floor sweeper. They're all far-fetched. They always mix truth and totally unbelievable fabrication. You cannot believe some of the stuff that they talk about. That's their job. What it comes down to is that's their stinking low-life derogatory job, is to spew crazy talk. That's what they do. And they have an endless number of voices that call into these shows. What I'm saying is not talk show that's doing it. It's not talk show. I think, though, that here, like a week ago, I began to attack not only the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI. I not only began to attack them because they know about this. They know that people are being harassed and targeted, and they're not doing anything about it. The dirty, stinking scum at the FBI, they're not doing anything about it. All right, so now, then, what about, hang on, I'm clicking around here as I'm doing this. What about the Freemasons? You know, they don't want to be talked about, by the way. You know, they're a secret society. The stinking Freemasons, the filthy, stinking, rotten. I haven't used any profanity, though, now, have I? The dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking, scum-sucking Freemasons, they don't want to be talked about. You can't prove. That's what I've heard. You know how many times I've heard that? You can't prove this, Vancouver. You can't prove the FBI knows about this. You can't prove that the stinking, filthy Freemasons, you can't prove that they know about this. You can't prove that they're doing it. They're doing it. The dirty, rotten skank faces in Freemasonry, that's what they're doing. To me, that's what they stand for. That's what they are. And then Scientology. When I was in my mid-20s, I was stupid. I got sucked into the filthy cult, and I've heard a lot about them, and they don't like to be talked about either. The filth bags, the dirty, rotten, stinking filth bags at Scientology, they don't want to be talked about. You know, so how far, you might say, does this freedom of speech go? You know, here at Talk Show. Well, let's talk about something else, though, for a minute. What happens if they can pull this off? If the filthy FBI, the stinking Freemasons, and the skanks at Scientology, what if they can, and I think they're just part of a number of other places. There are a number of other places that can be gotten to. They can be threatened. Your children can be threatened. Your livelihood. You want to live on the street or you want to live in your home, your cushy bed every night, huh? They can do it. They're filthy. So what if that happens to this world? There's this one Brit that I know his voice, and he works for Talk Show, and I asked him, what do you think is going to happen if this, and by the way, he had his computer confiscated, and when he got it back, it was all in disarray because he allegedly stole some movies or something, but they wanted to make an example out of him. But I asked this guy, what if the filth? What if something doesn't happen? What's going to happen? Is the world gone if America falls? Is the world gone if America's freedom of speech falls? And he said, yes. Yes. He's a Brit. A pretty smart one, I think. And that was his answer. So what I'm saying is, what I have noticed here on TalkShoe.com is I've noticed a lot of calls. They're really derogatory about black people, about Jews, about pretty much anything. Pretty much anything goes. You know, I have just noticed a lot of it. And they used to tell me when I got here, Vancouver, you'll just fit right in. There'll be no problem. You can just speak out. Of course, I do cuss. Not anymore within the last 7 days. You know, I do my share of that. And so there you have it. There's this issue. It's called organized stalking. I want you to Google that term. It's also called gang stalking. Google those terms. And let me tell you what you're going to find, by the way, is probably 3/4 of what you look up will be crazy talk. It'll be untrue. And why is that? That's because the filth has polluted it with crazy, unbelievable stuff. Well, it wasn't quite that bad 16 months ago when I started my show. After I wised up to the term organized stalking, gang stalking, once I wised up to those terms, I spent like 3 months researching this issue. I thought, God, this is amazing. How could something this big, how could it be going on in our world? How could I not know it? Huh? And it just is. I'm telling you guys. You're listening to me. Do you not believe me? Okay, how many more times do you have to hear it? But what I'm telling you, what you're going to hear if you go to the filth, the skank shows, the dirty, rotten filth bags at freedomshs.com, what you're going to hear is a bunch of shills. You're not going to believe it. I'm telling you, the only thing that happens to me is I get harassed like there's no tomorrow every time I go outside. That's what they do. There's literally gangs of filth, and that's what they do. Now, they don't do it so you can see it. What they do, they say, quote-unquote, keywords that you know it has to do with your livelihood or your grandmother or the neighborhood you grew up in. It's about you, but you can't prove it. That's what the filthy skanks, the gang stalkers, the filth in Freemasonry, that's what they want. Just as long as you can't prove it, it's plausible deniability. There's no problem. You can get away with it. Your heart's content. No sweat. But that's what they do. They screw with you. I'm really sorry. I know I'm rattling on, and I know I told you this would be 10 minutes, and it's been like 25 minutes. I feel like going a little bit longer. Nobody's making you listen to this. This show is going live as soon as I push the terminate button. This show is going live, baby. Mistakes and all. I haven't made any mistakes. There's a lot of facts I could have included that I may not have. So there's this issue. It's called organized stalking. And when you speak out, you're put on a list. And the dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking Freemasons and the scum-sucking FBI, they're in on it. They know about it. It's part of the deal. That's what they do, the filth. That's what they friggin' do. They harass people. And you know what else? That's the good news. You know what the bad news is, pal? You're harassed to death. You're going to your family is going to be harassed to death. That's right. I believe. Now, can I prove that? No, I cannot prove it. I'm just telling you that I believe it from the bottom of my heart. That once you get harassed, once the decision has been made to harass you, the dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking suckholes in Freemasonry and the FBI, that and other organizations that pile on. Now, why is it? How can they get churches? How can they get them? You know how many times I've heard people say they were harassed out of their church? You know how many times I've been harassed in my church? A lot. I can't prove it. But there's people that screw with you. That's their friggin' job. That's their low-life suck. Now, how do they get them to do that? I think they get them to do it by threats. These are not nice people. I think they get them to do it. They threaten, and if the person doesn't play ball, they're gonna hear it. Their kids are gonna get it at school. They're gonna start ganging up on their kids in school. The kids, I'm not kidding you. I'm serious. I believe, and I'm telling you what I believe to be true. Their kids come home from school and say, "Daddy, Mommy, I was harassed today," and Dad knew what it was. Shut up about something, or even worse, start doing something, and now they own your ass. You got it, pal? They own your friggin' ass. You become the scum that was harassing you, and that's a fact, Jack. There's 1,000 things I could say. This show has been going on for 25 minutes, nearly a half an hour. I think I'm coming to an end. I'm talking from the bottom of my heart. This recording is going live as soon as I'm done. I pray to God that TalkShoe cherishes freedom enough to leave my show alone, to let people come and talk, and I do not exaggerate. If anything, the filth over at Freedom SCH, they're the filth. I'm telling you, the upper echelons of that organization is terrible. They won't talk about the issue of organized stalking. No. Anybody that talks about it's got to be muted. That's what they do. Muted, kind of like I do right here. I'm not going to unmute right now, by the way. I do it all the time, but I'm not going to unmute now. This recording is all me. And it's because I'm not going to let somebody screw this recording up. And I've had it happen enough times where if I'm interviewing somebody, that's it. So what I've done for the last 16 months is I have done 70-plus interviews. Most of them, I believe. Some of them are skanks. A couple of those skanks are among those who were mentioned previously on Freedom SCHS. Let me tell you, they have no saving graces. They're filth. 100% filth. I don't, and by the way, tomorrow, what is today? Tomorrow by my time, January 16, 2012, there's supposedly a show down in the Bay Area, you know? And what I'm telling you is if FSCHS, if they have anything to do with it, it'll be crazy. It'll be screwed. Somehow they'll screw it up because that's their friggin' job. Do you get it? Do you get it? That's what FSCHS does. They're filth. And I'm the only show on TalkShoe that's willing to say that. I'm telling you, they make it really, I don't know if they make it, it becomes totally miserable for you to exist unless you spew the filth. If you want to talk about crazy talk, that's okay. You're welcome to do it. But if you want any integrity in your show at all, it's not going to happen. I wish I would have taken questions. I may do another subsequent interview. I'll probably, once I listen to this, I'll think of 1,000 things I should have said, and that's part of live talking, of a live talk show. But I don't do scripted talk shows, ever. I have never done a scripted talk show. There have been maybe less than a handful, excuse me, where we knew what the topic was going to be, and hopefully we stuck to that topic. This has been a half-an-hour recording. I have nothing else to say. I'm going to close down this recording and the call, and thank you very much. My name is Vancouver, WATI.com. You can visit that website or visit TalkShoe.com and search for show number 87161 or search for Vancouver, and you will find me. And that is the end of this recording.